Namaste Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Gayate Girim Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare श्रीमद् भागवतम ग्रंथराज की जय, श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, निताय गौर सीतनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So today our verse for the Bhagavatam is Canto 4, Chapter 4, Text 11. It is the talk of Mother Parvati or Mother Sati, as we can say. So after we read the verse, we will go on to the further discussion of that. Devyuvacha nayasya lokespi atisayana priyas tatha priyo deha vritam priyatmanaha tasmin samastatmani mukta vairake rite bhavantam katama pratipayet. The blessed goddess said, Lord Shiva is the most beloved of all living entities. He has no rival. No one is very dear to him, and no one is his enemy. No one
envious of universal being who is free from all enmity. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Yes,
Shall I read, Mataji? Yeah.
Yes.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Yesu Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita 9.29, the Lord says, Samoham Sarva Bhudeshu. I'm equal to all living entities. Similarly, Lord Shiva is a qualitative incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has almost the same qualities as the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is equal to everyone. No one is his enemy and no one is his friend. But one who is envious by nature can become the enemy of Lord Shiva. Therefore, Sati accused her father, no one but you could be envious of Lord Shiva or be his enemy. Other sages and learned Brahmanas were present, but they were not envious of Lord Shiva, although they were all dependent on Daksha. Therefore, no one but Daksha could be envious to Lord Shiva. That was the accusation of Sati. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada. So this is what the purport is today talking about, being envious. How enviousness can actually reduce our contact in Krishna consciousness, and how enviousness can actually ruin our spiritual as well as material aspects. So the point here, what Sati is actually bringing forth is that her main focus, or Sati Devi's main focus is towards her father Daksha. That is, when the marriage happened between Sati and Lord Shiva, what happened is that Sati was married to Lord Shiva out of her own accord. That is, it was her desire that Lord Shiva should be her future husband. So, and of course, the Devi Devatas, they were also in consent with it. But somehow Daksha, thinking of himself to be one of the foremost of all the Prajapatis, he, because of his, initially because of his pride, he forgot that actually he is himself having a lower stature in the material as well as spiritual platform. He is having a lower stature than Lord Shiva. He totally forgets about it, because he doesn't realize the blessings which has come upon him, That is, he is made the Prajapati. That is because of the mercy of his father, Lord Brahma, and all the other Devi Devatas. This particular attitude of gratitude is totally forgotten by uh, Prajapati Daksha. So therefore, Daksha Prajapati, because it was not as per his liking that amongst all his daughters, this one daughter, that is Sati, got married against his wishes. For that reason, he totally took out only the peripheral form of Lord Shiva. That means to say, he could just see the outer zone of Lord Shiva. That is, Lord Shiva is not having any great wealth, and he is without any great decorum or anything. That is like how Lord Vishnu or Lord Brahma has are putting themselves or are presenting themselves. That sort of a decorum Lord Shiva is not having. So keeping all these purviews only in heart, Daksha was behaving towards Lord Shiva, and Daksha was expecting that Lord Shiva give him great respect when Daksha had entered the sacrificial arena. Now, Sati's main focus was, especially she was hurt that the whole Brahmanda was called for the sacrificial arena or for the sacrifice, for this particular sacrifice or for this particular yajna. But her own father had very blissfully forgotten to call her and her husband. So she, because of love towards her father, or because of frequent acquaintance, that informality relation with her father, she overlooked this particular factor that her father had wanted to, should have rather invited them both. But uh, because of a filial connection, with her father, she somehow tried to convince and override Lord Shiva, and she goes to the sacrificial arena. There she sees that the oblations are offered. Now, when we are doing a particular yajna, it is a custom that the oblations, the sacrificial things which we are putting into the yajna kunda, each and every sacrificial items we are offering to the yajna kunda is for the Devi Devatas or for Lord Supreme Lord Vishnu to accept it. It is for them. So uh, she saw that for everybody there was some yajna being offered, but for Lord Shiva, purposefully, there was no yajna being offered. This she couldn't take it. And it was a very sheer case of envy. One should understand that yes, fathers have a filial connection or very close connection with their daughters, because and mothers have a close connection with their sons. So that sort of a little bit of over possessive nature is also there between the father and the daughter, and also between the mother and the son. Now it depends upon the number of children that they could probably acquaint with. Now, in this particular situation, what happened is that because Daksha was actually more filled with pride, and after Sati got married to Lord Shiva, he was filled with envy also. Now, when Daksha saw that, okay, Sati had come, he wanted to purposefully ignore his daughter because she did not marry according to his likes, whatever it may be. So, as a treatment of punishment towards his daughter, he purposefully he did not give any offerings to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, before the scene itself, we know that Lord Shiva, he totally quit this particular arena itself. He did not go to back answer anything. He just quit this arena. There is a point that we should actually note. When we are, now somebody insults us, okay, and we counterfeit it, suppose, or we try to dissuade them or try to override them, saying that they have been totally wrong and try to prove our point. We must understand that somewhere we are actually grasping or rather taking in the karmas there. On the other hand, if somebody suppose insults, and suppose it happens that I am not saying anything, but I just ignore this particular factor and just leave out from that particular arena, and just go without back answering or anything like that, then whatever is our karma or my karma is being totally taken by that particular person. Now, this is what actually happened with in this particular case. Daksha and his followers and everybody had insulted Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva didn't have anything to say. He just walked away from that particular arena without even justifying himself. Now, this Sati knows very well the particular attitude or character of Lord Shiva, and therefore she specifies over here that how is it that you are uh, you are filled with so much of envy, and how come? And it is really a tragedy that you have to totally mitigate this particular personality or offering oblations to this particular personality who is Lord Shiva. Sati was not worried that the other Brahmanas had, insulted Lord Shiva, but her main concern was that her father, being the family man, he did totally override it or totally overlooked that Lord Shiva was there and just accused him. So this is what actually the pain Sati had, because her attachment towards her father was a different thing. But when, without any reason, when Lord Shiva was accused or rather criticized out of envy, she couldn't take it. So, envy actually, we can see in the coming episodes of as the thing is going on, as the verses are going on, how totally Daksha loses himself, materially, spiritually, how he totally falls down. Envy is something, we have six enemies of our mind: Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. This Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha can be identified in a person's from a person's character to a certain extent, to a certain extent. But envy is something which we cannot realize about a person very easily. It takes time. Envy. Envy, once it is there, then it totally shatters. If we are envious towards any person, what happens is that it totally shatters our spiritual and material well-being. Even to a certain extent, the health crisis can also come up. So we should be very careful to totally avoid this particular enemy of the mind. As soon as the source of envy creeps in, we should realize our own, we should have an introspection and we should realize our own weakness and totally chant and pray that this particular character leaves us. Because with this, we are totally tearing our ticket back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, Sati, for the benefit of her father, she actually accused her father that this is envy which has overcome you and you have to override this. And later we see that because she has received her body from her father, therefore she totally says that such an envious person, I do not want to maintain the body of such an envious person. So therefore she sacrifices herself in the fire sacrifice. Now we'll go on to the next verse. This is a very wonderful verse, and in fact, if devotees, the next verse, that is text 12, 4, 4, 12. If devotees can by heart this particular verse, it will be very great. दोषान् परेषां हि गुणेषु साधवो गृह्णन्ति केचिन्न भवादृशो द्विज गुणांश्च प्रभो बहुलीकरिष्णवो महत्तमस्तेष्वविदद्भवानघम्. I'll read this one more time. दोषान् परेषां हि गुणेषु साधवो गृह्णन्ति केचिन्न भवादृशो द्विज गुणांश्च बहुविकरिष्णवो महत्तमस्तेष्वविदद्भवानघम्. The translation is, twice born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul. Yes. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila
Jai Shri
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada. King Daksha is addressed here by his daughter Sati as Dwaja, twice born. Twice born refers to the higher classes of men, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. In other words, Dwaja is not an ordinary man, but one who has studied the Vedic literature from a spiritual master and can discriminate between good and bad. Therefore, it is supposed that he understands logic and philosophy. Sati, Daksha's daughter, put before him sound arguments. There are some highly qualified persons who accept only the good qualities of others, just as bee is always interested in the honey in the flowers and does not consider the thorns or umbrellas. Highly qualified persons who are uncommon accept only the good qualities of others, not considering their bad qualities. Whereas the common man can judge what are good qualities and what are bad qualities. Among the uncommonly good souls, there are still gradations, and the best soul, good soul, is one who accepts an insignificant asset of a person and magnifies that good quality. Lord Shiva is also called Asutosha, who refers to one who is satisfied very easily and who offers to any person the highest level of benediction. For example, once a devotee of the Lord Shiva wanted the benediction that whenever he touched someone on the head, that person's head would at once be separated from his trunk. That Lord Shiva agreed, although the benediction asked was not very commendable because the devotees wanted to kill his enemy. Lord Shiva considered the devotee's good quality in worshipping thus and satisfying him and granted the benediction. Thus, Lord Shiva accepted his bad qualities as magnificently good qualities. But Sati accused her father, "You are just the opposite. Although Lord Shiva has so many good qualities and no bad qualities at all, you have accepted him as bad and found fault with him. Because of your accepting his good qualities to be bad, instead of you are becoming the most exalted soul, you have become the most fallen. If a man becomes the greatest soul by accepting the goodness of others, but by unnecessarily considering others' good qualities to be bad, you have become the lowest of the fallen souls. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, this is a wonderful, this purport of Srila Prabhupada is really so much enlightening, and actually it gives us a very good insight upon ourselves. You know, for sure we would have been a Daksha sometime in life. Towards somebody in life, we would have become a Daksha. So this is actually a learning lesson for us. Therefore, the pages of the Bhagavatam are really so crystal clear and really brings up about how or what are our discrepancies, what are our inferior qualities. So all this the Bhagavatam clearly brings out. Therefore, people who are really worshipping the Bhagavatam will say that every purport in the Bhagavatam which deals with correction of a devotee or correction of a person is actually for myself. So this is how a really serious study devotees of Bhagavatam take. Now here coming back to Daksha Prajapati and Mother Sati very clearly says she addresses him not as a father, because that itself understands that how mentally now she is disconnected from Daksha. She doesn't want to accept him as her father. So therefore she calls him as twice born. Okay, because he doesn't follow the Brahminical standards. What is the Brahminical standards? Never to find a fault in others. But he was a fault finder. See, there is a difference in there is a great import in this word fault finder. I do not have a fault, but my fault is being searched out and found out. You know, so this is what the modern world is. You go to your workplace, people are there sitting with lens, sitting with CCTV cameras all around. People are appointed to just keep seeing the CCTV camera. What is this for? This is just to find the fault of the people who are working in that particular zone or in that particular office. So therefore, nowadays Kali Yuga is promoting this particular, this character of fault finding. So as devotees, what we should do? We should totally remove the CCTV camera from our dictionary. And in places of purity, will you find CCTV cameras? Absolutely not required. We in ISKCON temples we have cameras, but that camera is for what? That camera is basically so that devotees from far can online also see the DT, see the lordships. So this is how the camera should be utilized in service of the Lord. But in the modern world, technology is being totally misutilized. It is being utilized just to crush down the human basic ethics of human civilization. So here, Mother Sati, she says, rather Prabhupada says in this particular purport, a Dvija is not an ordinary man, but one who has studied the Vedic literature from a spiritual master and can discriminate between the good and bad. Therefore, it is supposed that Daksha understands the logic and the philosophy. So, though she knows that Daksha has not taken Lord Shiva quite seriously, but has taken him totally negatively, still, she, without addressing him as her father, she addresses him as a twice born. Because a twice born, first of all, is a person of higher knowledge. That is, Brahmana class is a person of higher knowledge. Dvija. But he has studied all the Vedic literature. He is a highly qualified person, but still he is able to cover the good with the bad. So therefore, all these standards, all these logics, all this philosophy, whatever you have known, O Father, is totally not working on it. It is totally a wasteful. Now, here, Mother Sati also says the good qualities of Lord Shiva. It is not only that Lord Shiva doesn't have any fault finding attitude, but it is also that if a person does very little, or maybe he is totally done nothing good, still Lord Shiva has a capacity to highlight his good qualities, just putting good qualities into him and highlighting these good qualities. So, our problem is actually our mind. Our mind is the one which makes us look good, which makes us look bad, which envisions or gives us the vision of, okay, this is a good thing, or which gives us the vision of this is a bad thing. Now, I would have criticized somebody, and I would have criticized A to B. So to B, I have already said all the bad qualities of A. Okay. Now, me and the B is keeping on talking. At that time, A is coming in. Now, whom have I really criticized A about? To B. So if B is not a cultured person, if he is not a civilized person, what he will see is that based upon what my report is, based upon that only B will visualize A. But if B is a civilized person, that means if his mind is trained to be a Goswami, what he will see is that he will still see the positive attitude of A, and he will totally neglect whatever negatives I have told to B about A. This is how we should overflow in our basic logical thinking. For that, the mind has to play a very great role. If the mind is trained to hearing prajalpa, if the mind is trained to seeing the negatives only, then the mind will only be like that. But if the mind is accepting everybody into the heart, and if the mind is ready to serve anybody, let him be of any stature, then that mind is a Vaishnava mind. The whole aspect, the whole gymnastics about chanting, about reading, about serving the Vaishnavas, about doing deity worship, about even celebrating the festivals is all about tuning the mind. So Daksha, because of pride initially, His mind was totally corrupt. And he could literally see only the negative aspect, though there was nothing, but still the negative aspect of Lord Shiva only. What that he doesn't, Lord Shiva doesn't have that stature, that material stature, as much as Daksha Prajapati has. So, according to Daksha, Lord Shiva is not at all qualified to get married to Sati because materially Lord Shiva is totally bankrupt. Now, later on, when Daksha saw that Lord Shiva is having all good qualities, he could literally see, he could literally feel, because people around him are also telling what a nice son-in-law you have got. But still, Daksha was not at all ready to accept this particular fact. That became pride changed to envy. So that means his total shift of character came to a mode of passion. Later on, it went into mode of ignorance, and that is how he totally got devastated. So, as devotees, we should know that envy is the greatest enemy of, rather, one of the greatest enemy of the mind. So, as soon as the seed of envy is just blooming in our heart, we should at that time itself take out the seed and throw it in the bin. Now, how do we know that we have envy? When we see that when somebody is glorified in front of me and I am not able to equally accept that glorification, that aspect is envy. When glorifying a person brings a smile in the face of thousands of people or two or three people, but I am not able to smile or I am not able to accept that person's glory, then we can know that I am suffering from the disease of envy. This is what happened to Suruchi also, that is Uttanapada, King Uttanapada's two wives, Suniti and Suruchi. Suniti was a very sublime, sober, very dedicated wife to King Uttanapada, that is Dhruva's mother. And Suruchi was very much well treated by King Uttanapada, but she ill treated Suniti. And though all these things happened, still Suruchi was having a feeling of insecurity. So she was actually very much envious towards Suniti because whatever is being done, how much ever treacherous activity is being done on Suniti, but Suniti was just surrendered to the Supreme Lord. So finally, what happened is that Suruchi totally lost all because of envy. She totally lost all her uh, all the benefits, all the divine benefits that she had given by the Supreme Lord to her, and she totally lost her family also. So, this is what envy does to us. It causes us more harm than benefit. So, keeping this particular example of this pastime of Lord Shiva and King Daksha, we should realize that how we should not be. And um, it is easy for any fool to highlight the faults of others. It is an easy task, but only an intelligent person can see the what you say can see the merits over demerits, can see faultlessness over faults. So our main aim of Krishna consciousness, our main aim of getting into satsanga, everything is basically to totally shun off the faults and just see the faultlessness or just see the good aspect of any devotee or any person who comes across with us. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, what is it now?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Devotees, any questions, comments? Mataji, so wonderful, Mataji, and it's so wonderful. The virtues are so wonderful. But through today's purport, I came to know one thing, Mataji. See, in the rest of the Padma Purana sloka, Janmane Jayade Shudra, Samsara Bhave Dvaja, Veda Padet Bhave Vipra, Brahmajnani iti Brahmana. Okay. But so far, until this moment, I was thinking Dvaja means Brahmana. But here in this purport, Prabhupada is saying all three classes, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Brahmanas are Dwaja. They all three are so for the so Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are different. Only Shudras is not mentioned. Higher class of people, Prabhupada says that Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Brahmanas are called Dwaja. So in that sense, we cannot translate Dwaja into Brahmana. Maybe I'm thinking Prabhupada meant Dwaja means Vipra, because as per the this sloka, it says that samskarat bhaved vipra. So when they get the samskara of the particular class of people, they become Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana. And when Veda padet bhaved vipra, Veda padet, no, samskarat bhaved dvaja, Veda padet bhaved vipra. And then last is Brahmatjnanedi iti Brahmana. In that sense, should we translate? Prabhupada many places translated Dvaja means Brahmana. But here he is saying all three. So there is a bit of confusion whether we should see them as a Dvaja means Vipra or Brahmana.
Prabhu, what I find, see, now when I'm seeing twice born refers to the higher classes of men, namely the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Kshatriyas
Correct.
and Vaishya. Okay. So
Correct.
here, when it is coming to the case of Daksha, at that time the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas were all called for in that particular forum. Now, what I understand from this is that the higher classes of men are Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, and Vaishyas, no doubt. But yet at the same time, uh, the first and foremost Dvija is Brahmanas only. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are just honored along with the line. That is all. This is what I come to understand. But because there is maybe there was not a briefing about this on the purport, but just the higher classes of men, Prabhupada has brought them in the same equal line. That is all for this particular purport. But actually, dvajas means
Brahmana.
Brahmanas only.
Okay. Because Mataji, as elsewhere I read, not only Brahmanas, even the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas are given Janu in their in the twice born ceremony. They also have the sacred thread.
Yes.
So somewhat as you said, there must be a higher class. That Brahmana Dvaja means Brahmana. Thank you so much, Mataji.
That is
And
there. The Kshatriyas are also having their, if you see now, Lord Rama also had this Upanayana ceremony. Krishna also had the Upanayana ceremony. He's in Vaishya family. Lord Rama, Kshatriya family, Upanayana ceremony was there. So because these three are higher classes, that Upanayana ceremony is there. But the highest Upanayana ceremony, rather amongst the three, will be for the Brahmanas only.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. And the other thing, when you were mentioning about the CCTV, something came in my mind. Prabhupada was once in America airport. So some reporters came and said, "How do you feel you are coming to America, India? India is not a civilized country. It's still underdeveloping and the poverty is still and see here everything is so secured. Not even a single crime can enter everywhere. CCTV, we are being watched, so we are very safe and it is civilized country." Like that is said. And Prabhupada was laughing and they said, "Oh, what do you mean? Why are you laughing? You take this as a civilized country? See, civilized country means one country where everybody should live in peace and harmony and live, let others live. No need of in India when it was a civilized, when it's the civilized state, houses did not have locks; they were open. People can something fell down on the street. It will be there. It will be there for ages when the real owner comes and take. Nobody will be interested. That is real civilization. Here you are seeing so many criminals, so you put so much CCTV. It is not a civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other point I was thinking is when you were saying that when we are somebody is offending us, if we are keeping an idol, and then our karma is being bound to see, if we reciprocate, then we accumulate karma further. In this connection, there is one story in Navadu. The king was serving the sweet rice to milk to everyone. I had such a wonderful. So the account is given to someone who is unnecessarily putting the origin to it. So thank you so much, Madhu. So wonderful. Hare Krishna. Devanjali, Hare Krishna after a long time. How are you?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. How are you doing?
Tanvat. I'm good. I'm in Kolkata now. I was having
Oh,
fever.
okay.
That's why I come
Okay.
back.
So you'll come back to Chennai, right?
Yes, after 1 month I will come.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
I may come to Chennai maybe in the month of November. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay, Prabhu. We will meet, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any questions, Devanjali?
No question, Prabhu.
No
Wonderful.
questions. Is Naren Prabhu?
No question. No question.
No question. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Mataji, thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
Prabhu.
for Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpatarupascha Kripasindudavicha Pavitanam Pavani Vaishnavibhyo Namah. Sivakar Prabhu is sick, that's why he's joined. He didn't join. Yesterday,
Okay.
we had to stop the class because he was not able to speak only. So much infections. Voice was not coming. We said, stop the class, you go and take rest. Then we like that. Okay.
Okay. Is it?
Uh,
Okay.
okay. Thank you so much, Madhu. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Yes. Vancha. Yes. Yes.